Let's talk about some of the advanced, some might say basic operations of the iPad, starting with applications. And of course you use iTunes in the App Store to download, and you browse and look and search for an application, and next to the application you'll see the install. You must have an iTunes account and a credit card registered so that it has some place to charge them. And applications typically run anywhere from free to, $10. Some of the more advanced things might be a little more expensive, but for the most part they're fairly inexpensive, and it's automatically charged to your credit card. Once you've downloaded them and you want to keep track of them, you need to be able to arrange them, and doing that is as simple as pressing and holding until you see them start to squiggle a little bit, and from there you can just move anything you want anywhere you want on the screen, just like that. And it makes it very simple to keep things organized. You can go between pages and move things around very simply. When you're done moving things around, simply hit the button on the bottom and things will stop squiggling for you, and you're fine, and you can move back around. Grouping. Grouping allows you to save space. It lets you put similar things together, or it allows you to group things by those things that you use most frequently. So again, let me show you what I mean by that. You notice that I have groups here that contain multiple applications: weather, navigation. So these are by function, and it works very well to keep things organized. The way you would do that is literally the same way we were arranging earlier. Tap and hold an icon, things start to wiggle a little bit. Hold that icon again, drag it onto a group and drop it, and when you open up that group, there it is. So again, to get things to stop squiggling, push the button on the bottom, and you're now done. Likewise, you can get things back out of a group by tapping, holding, and dragging out from the group. Hit the button again, and you're done. If you take a group like this and you tap and hold and drag so that there is only one item left in the group, it will automatically delete that grouping and bring the other application out of that group. So that's a way to save space, stay organized, and if you're like me, over time I've accumulated many different applications, and it can be a little difficult to find those sometimes. So this helps quite a bit. Likewise, you might occasionally want to delete an app. If it's something you bought through the iTunes store, don't worry. It'll always be there. You can reinstall it later. But sometimes you have a problem, or you want to delete an application temporarily. Again, it's fairly simple to do. Tap and hold. Things start to squiggle, and notice the little X at the top of the icon. If you tap that X, it will delete the application off of the iPad, and you can then tap the button on the bottom and return. So it's very simple to delete things, and if it has any data, if the application has any data, that data will also be deleted at the same time when you delete the app. Also, some other quick navigation secrets that they don't really talk about, but searching. Searching on an iPad can search through applications, it can search through your email, it can search through just about anything on the iPad. And it's as simple as tapping the bottom button on the iPad until you get to the search. And from here, you can type in a program name, or you can type in a contact name. To look up a contact, you can type Click on the X at the top of the screen to clear that. It will go through email. So you notice that it has all kinds of things that it'll find. And to leave that, you simply swipe to return to the other menu. In lists and messages or web pages, it's simply a matter of tapping at the very top of the screen, up where the clock is, showing at the top of the screen, and that will instantly bring you to the top. If I bring up a web page, and I can scroll down through the web page, to go to the top, I simply tap up on the clock at the top, and it takes me back up to the top very quickly. So that's a quick way to get and navigate around in lists. So it works in your contacts, it works in your browsers, it works inside of your email, so it works just about any place. Controls. Under settings, you can use the little switch on the right hand side of the iPad. It's a little toggle switch up and down, and you can use that either to mute the iPad or to lock the rotation. I like locking the rotation because pressing down on the volume button will turn it down pretty quickly, so I don't need to do that. And sometimes it can be very frustrating when you're working on things if you are not locked, and all of a sudden you just turn your iPad just a little bit, all of a sudden you find yourself flipping back and forth, and it can be a little confusing. And so I like to use the lock rotation function. So again, you access that through your settings, general, and use the side switch to lock rotation. Screen capture. Sometimes you see something on your screen, you want to save it. It will take a snapshot or a picture of your screen and store it in your camera roll, and that is a simple matter of pressing the button on the bottom, the home button on the bottom of the iPad, and tapping the button on the top. Notice that it's the same two buttons that we talked about earlier for doing a reset or powering it off. So what you're going to do is tap that button on the bottom, first hold that, and then tap the button on the top. Do not hold it or you'll go into the reset mode. Play and volume and brightness are quickly accessible simply by double tapping the little button on the bottom, and you just double tap, and you'll see a list of the applications that you have been running or are currently running down on the bottom. We'll talk about that here in a moment. But if you swipe to the right, now you see you can be adjusting your screen brightness or intensity. You can adjust your volume either here or with the toggle switch on the side of the iPad, and you can quickly access your music library by tapping on the little musical note there, and that will bring up your iTunes. So to exit, you just tap the button on the bottom again, and you return back to your menu. So I mentioned those programs showing up on the bottom. We're going to talk about multitasking and switching between applications, as well as using that for killing apps. So sometimes you have a runaway app when you're running. So again, I'm going to double tap the button on the bottom, and it shows all of the applications that I have either run or are currently running. And by simply tapping on one of them, I'm tapping on the Safari, it will bring that back up. Double tap again, I can switch back over into my settings or my email or anything else that I've been previously running. And it makes it very quick to switch back and forth so that you can move things between or compare or whatever. Also, double tapping that button on the bottom, I can tap and hold. Notice the squiggles again and the little red minus marks in the upper left of the icon, And by tapping on that little minus sign, it kills that application out of memory. It doesn't delete data, it just kills it out of memory for now. You can quickly get back into it by exiting here, by hitting the button, tap the button again, and I can go back into that application fairly quickly. All I've done in the meantime is gotten it out of memory. So double tap, hold, tap on the red minus sign, and that will clear your history as well as kill any running applications, so that your iPad is now back to fully available. So that's how you kill an app. You can also do select, copy, cut and copy and paste text. So if you're in a Word document or a PDF and you want to copy some of the text, it's very simple to do. You simply double tap and extend your selection. So as an example, I will go over here into a web page, and if you double tap, sometimes what will happen is you'll see that it will expand that paragraph to fill the screen. But from there, if I double tap on a word and hold, it will highlight that word, and notice a little blue controls on the bottom and bottom right and top left. By tapping on that little blue thing and dragging, I can highlight more and then copy that text. I could then get out of that and go over into some other application. Say I wanted to create an email real quickly, and I can come down here and I can tap and hold and paste that information. So very, very quick to be able to move back and forth and copy data back and forth. So you can cut and copy the same way. Notice that I did not get a cut or delete option when I was in a web page, because it won't delete it out of the web page. But if I am in my email and I find that I wanted to cut and or, now I have a cut, copy, or paste, and tapping the arrow I can bold, underline, do quote levels, whatever, but I can quickly cut that data out. And the pasting I showed you a moment ago. So very, very simple. So all that is in preparation of taking care of your iPad and some basics of navigation.